You know, when I was at my doctor's the other day, I the statement I made in my last video that the CPAP would bypass a trach would bypass the torture of what CPAP is doing to my sinuses and the throat. I think when I was at my doctor's and we were talking about a trach or Chiari surgery, I think he had determined that. I think he realized that and didn't say it out loud. I think he knew that. Because we talked about, you know, a trach would bypass all these issues, the trigeminal nerves, the jaw, and the narrow airway, the apnea. I think he realized that a trach would eliminate all the torture of CPAP. But I have this weird, insane thought. What if, like a scary thought, like, what if a lot of this is just damage from that surgery? What if a patient has been driven to a trach because of the pain and like the intolerable damage and symptoms from this sinus surgery that I never signed up for? Isn't that a crazy thought? No, it's not a crazy thought. It's a frightening thought that someone can be so harmed from the effects of a surgery all these years, but made so much worse by needing CPAP. Imagine doing a surgery to somebody that they never wanted and never signed up for, and now they're driven to another drastic surgery. A CPAP, a trach is no joke. You know what occurred to me, and I used to have one or two followers who have a trach, and I'll have to try to find someone to ask this to. Like, a trach does not come without, side effects and its own problems. Um, you know, cutting the sinuses open and leaving them open like this, and no one knows how to fix them. The biggest problem is they're so dried out and painful and bleeding, just like a raw wound, because they're not supposed to be dried out like this. That's the biggest problem, is dried right out to the point that they're bleeding, and to the point where the pain is excruciating. My thought last night about the trach, getting a trach, you know what? Your throat is not supposed to have an open hole in it. And is that going to dry out and have issues because it's dried out? because air is passing through it. Like, the biggest problem with these open sinuses is that air is blowing right into them. You're not supposed to have that. And maybe the concept is the same with the trach. You've got a hole in your throat that's not supposed to be there. And what happens in the sinuses, air is blowing right into them. Even when you're walking down the street, you're not supposed to be wide open. What happens is you're so dried out that any mucus in there, like the ability to produce mucus, is almost gone because it's so dried out. Like the mucus membranes have been damaged, or whatever produces the mucus is so damaged from this surgery that there's little mucus, but the mucus that is being produced, it gets so dried out that it gets stuck in the walls, and then infection starts. And then when you have any dried mucus in there, thick, you can't blow it out. It's so sticky, it's stuck inside the walls of the sinuses. You can't, it's almost impossible to get it out. And you're blowing and blowing and blowing constantly. You're just in a battle. And I'm wondering, like, with the trach, there's constant maintenance. I don't know, cleaning out and mucus and blood. And I hear all these stories, and I don't understand it. I don't understand how that all works, but maybe all that is because it's dried out. It's not supposed to be dried out. Maybe the concept is the exact same thing. There's a hole cut in. You're not supposed to be dried out anywhere, right? You're not supposed to have your mouth isn't supposed to be, if your mouth was wide open all the time and your mouth breathing and you're dried out and the saliva, is drying out constantly. If your mouth was wide open and air was passing through it all the time, your mouth would be cracked and bleeding. And same with any closed cavity that's supposed to be closed most of the time. If it's now, if you had huge holes in your cheek and you're dried out constantly, your mouth would be bleeding. And same with the sinuses. And I wonder if the trach gets dried out like that. Because that's just a hell of a thing. Like, you get this sinus surgery has caused constant maintenance. And I know with a trach, you've got constant maintenance. I don't know how troublesome it is, but, and it's funny, no doctor has ever talked to me. No doctor is like conversing, like, well, the adverse, stuff about having a trach. I'm just don't understand anything. And when it's iatrogenic damage from a surgery from a local surgeon, nobody wants to deal with you.